On the 6th and 8th of August 1945, the U.S. dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The Big Bangs ended the agony of the Second World War started by Hitler in Germany. This was also the final American revenge over Japan for the Pearl Harbor attack. Atomic bombs had killed 355,000 people in one go. Americans fought evil with evil. The stronger evil won, and a new era had begun. A few months before, at the Yalta Conference in February 1945, Roosevelt, Stalin, and Churchill had decided about the after-war division of the world, the destiny of Germany, and about the New World Order in general. Berlin, Germany, and Europe were divided into Eastern and Western hemispheres, orchestrated by the two superpowers, the United States of America and the Soviet Union. The Iron Curtain, erected between the two of them, soon became an instrument of the Cold War, the biggest and most dangerous military competition in the history of mankind. The system of division generally worked well, but there was one country and one man who disliked the idea of being part of one hemisphere only. The legendary partisan leader Josip Broz Marshal Tito stood against such logic. Nevertheless, that he was head of a communist state, the Federal People's Republic of Yugoslavia, influenced heavily by the mighty Soviet Union, he crossed his sword with Stalin in 1948 and refused the domination by any country over Yugoslavian sovereignty. With Nehru, Nasser, and Sukarno, he created the anti-bloc world movement called the Non-Aligned, based on the active coexistence and collaboration between different cultures, countries, and political systems. The Non-Aligned, formally created in 1961 and soon joined by more than 100 states from around the globe, fought successfully against colonialism and neocolonialism and strongly supported the leading role of the United Nations. Tito died on the 4th of May 1980 in Ljubljana at the age of 88 after becoming a legend. His funeral in Belgrade was his last political victory. It appeared to be one of the biggest gatherings of political leaders, kings, and princes from around the world. At his funeral, they all had to stand up next to each other on a small platform, paying their tribute to the dead giant. Yugoslavia was paralyzed in deep mourning. Tito was a communist dictator, but he had a sense for social justice, humor, glamour, and art, and people generally liked him. After his death, the multi-ethnic and multicultural state wasn't able to find a real substitute for him. In the preceding decade, the internal fights for political power disintegrated the federation. Heavy clouds slowly started to gather around the country, and the smell of gunpowder was in the air. The group Laibach was established on the 1st of June 1980 in Trbovlje, a small industrial coal mining town in Slovenia, then one of 6 socialist republics of Yugoslavia. The town was known for its history of political radicalism and revolutionary tradition. In September 1980, Laibach prepared its first public project in Trbovlje called the Red District. This provocative project, a concert and an exhibition, was banned before it opened, preventing the first public appearance of the group, though not the angry media response that followed. Soon the group reappeared in the Slovenian capital of Ljubljana, where they finally succeeded to play in front of an audience in January 1982 with a controversial concert in the historic underground club Fave. This was followed by their first concerts in Zagreb and Belgrade. Later that year, Laibach showed up at the Novi Rock Festival in the center of Ljubljana, organized by notorious promoter Igor Vidmar. The entire show was transmitted on the radio and provoked an emotional response all over Slovenia. Tomaž Hosnik, the then vocalist of the group, gave his most memorable public appearance in this show. His next concert, in December 1982 in Zagreb, entitled Touch of Evil, was also his last public act. Soon after, he left the group forever. On the 23rd of April, Laibach did an all-night concert together with their guests, 23 Skidoo and Last Few Days, at the 1983 Music Biennale of Zagreb. the concert was forcefully stopped at 5 a.m. by members of the Yugoslav army and the Croatian police due to a film Laibach used in the background during their show. The group was thrown out of Croatia. In the same period, Laibach published their manifest within the newly created cultural magazine Nova Revija, number 1314, which played a very important role in the mid-80s battle for an independent Republic of Slovenia. On the 23rd of June 1983, the group made its first television appearance in an interview on the current affairs program TV Weekly. The group wore military fatigues and armbands with a black cross as their symbol and recited their sometimes rather cryptic statements. The interview was issued straight after a report about the fascist violence against Slovenians in Trieste, and in the additionally edited part, the host, Jure Pengo, invited the audience in front of the TV screens to a direct political lynching of the group.
Zdaj kdo zganil in preprečil, zatrl te nevarnosti, te srhljive ideje in opredelitve tule sredi Ljubljane.
The spectacle caused an extreme controversy and was rapidly followed by an administrative and political ban on public appearances in Slovenia and the use of the name Laibach. Forbidden and hunted at home, Laibach hit the road to Europe, which they proclaimed occupied. November and December 1983 saw the Occupied Europe Tour, the first European tour by the group, together with the British group Last Few Days. The 17-date tour covered 16 cities in 8 countries in the eastern and western parts of the Curtain. The daring tour wasn't without problems. First, the convoy was stopped from entering Czechoslovakia. Later, in Warsaw, Laibach members were proclaimed communists for doing a song about General Jaruzelski. In West Berlin, their Occupied Europe posters were forbidden. The tour ended up with an intense show in London's Diorama venue on the 23rd of December. Back in Ljubljana, ignoring the ban, the group made a successful anonymous concert appearance at the Malci Belic Hall in December '84. The same year, Laibach co-founded the art and social guerrilla collective NSK, Neue Slowenische Kunst, a union of 3 groups, Laibach, Irwin, and Scipion Naske Sisters Theater, as well as a number of subgroups working in various media, thus multiplying Laibach's work and aesthetics. Later, in 1992, NSK declared itself a virtual state in time, with no physical territory, and began to issue passports, staging embassy and consulate events in several countries. April 1985 saw the release of the first album on the Slovenian Ropot Noise label. Due to the ban on the use of the name Laibach, the record appeared without the group's name, and instead the cover featured its distinctive black cross symbol. The 1985 album Rekapitulacija 1980-1984 on the Hamburg independent label Walter Ubrecht Schaufollen was the first Laibach record to gain an international release. Following Nova Akropola, Laibach's 1986 album for British independent Cherry Red Records, the group was signed by Mute Records of London. In September 1986, the controversial superstar dancer Michael Clark invited Laibach to appear in his No Fire Escape in Hell production, with 11 shows in London's Sadler Wells Theatre and elsewhere in the world. Opus Dei, released in 1987, was the first album for the new Mute label, including the notorious version of the Europop hit Life is Live, and a German-language remake of the Queen song One Vision. At the same time, Laibach spoke a lot about the idea of one Germany and one Europe, the United States of Europe. The same year, they also wrote music for and appeared in a classic Shakespearean Macbeth play in the German National Theatre in Hamburg. February 1987 saw Laibach's victorious first performance in Slovenia since 1984, and its first official concert since the 1983 ban. The ban had now been officially pulled back.
Life is life.
The release of Laibach's cover versions of the Rolling Stones' Sympathy for the Devil and the Beatles' Let It Be in 1988 was followed by a European-American Sympathy for the Devil tour. When asked if they were religious, Laibach told Americans that they believe in God, but they don't trust him.
I think it was neo-fascist, but I'm not sure if it was a joke or not. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Do you know?
In the meantime, the political situation in Yugoslavia had started to get extremely difficult, with influential Milosevic in power in Serbia and with the total collapse of the post-Tito era economy. The calls for the change of the political system and the change of the constitution of Yugoslavia, as well as the calls to a civil war, were getting stronger and more demanding. The situation in Europe was no less intense. The Berlin Wall and the entire Iron Curtain started to leak from both sides, and it was finally demolished. Collapse followed in the Soviet Union and the entire Eastern Bloc, and more or less ended the utopian dreams of communist paradise. But not quite yet in Yugoslavia, which has slowly turned again into the most explosive part of Europe. In 1989 and 1990, Laibach had a farewell tour through the dying country. At the concerts in Belgrade, Zagreb, and Sarajevo, the group clearly warned the audience and media of the coming tragedy, but it was already too late. War had returned to the Balkans as a curse. Slovenia succeeded to escape from Yugoslavia with only a 10-day battle, following the new country's declaration of independence. On the 26th December 1990, Laibach appeared at the thermoelectrical power station in Trbovlje, which was their first comeback to their hometown since the banned 1980 project. The concert marked both the 10th anniversary of Laibach and symbolically the simultaneous establishment of Slovenia as an independent state. In 1992, the group released an experimental record titled Capital and went for another tour in North America and Europe. Following the release of its prophetic NATO album, Laibach commenced the Occupied Europe NATO Tour 1994-95. This included Laibach's first Moscow performances and a memorable show at the Ljubljana DC3 Dakota venue. The tour ended with 2 concerts in besieged Sarajevo on the 20th and 21st of November as part of the NSK State Sarajevo event, a few days before NATO troops finally entered the city. Sarajevo was proclaimed an NSK state territory for a week, and several hundred NSK passports were given away to Sarajevan citizens. In 1997, Laibach concentrated extensively in Europe and the USA with the Jesus Christ Superstars and NATO program, giving another cryptic warning to the world about the 11th of September events in 2 songs from these 2 records, 2525 from NATO and God is God from Jesus Christ Superstars. In 1997, they returned again to Ljubljana with a concert in Križanke, but concluded the year with a significant tour of 9 concerts through Ukraine, Russia, and Siberia, all the way to Novosibirsk and Barnaul. The final concert of 1997 took place before the start of the war in Kosovo in the Serbian and Yugoslavian capital Belgrade, just before the American bombing of the city. This emotional concert for an audience of 3,500 was Laibach's first in Belgrade since the outbreak of war in ex-Yugoslavia. More than 100 soldiers protected Laibach during the show because of the numerous public threats against the group. Nevertheless, a heavy car bomb exploded during the night in front of their hotel. Luckily, no one was hurt. One of the most significant concerts of Laibach's career was the opening event at the European Cultural Month in Ljubljana, May 1997, where the group appeared before the presidents of several states and invited diplomats and dignitaries. This was a monumental concert, with the Slovenian Philharmonic Orchestra and a choir performing Laibach's early heavy industrial music, orchestrated with massive philharmonic sound. Again, the show produced numerous controversial reactions, including a walkout by the Archbishop of Ljubljana. In 23 years of existence, Laibach has performed in many different countries in Eastern and Western Europe and North America, and has played in some of the world's most renowned venues and many festivals. In 16 years, Laibach has released 16 albums and numerous records and singles. The group has also created the music for 15 theater productions and participated in some of those directly. Several documentary and full-length movies and videos have been made about Laibach and NSK, and Laibach has been featured in some significant books as well. Now Laibach is releasing another album, preparing themselves for another tour, another film, another book, and another public adventure. The name of the record is WAT. The first single from it is Dance mit Laibach. Apparently, WAT is dealing with time, and with Laibach itself. But let's see what the group has to tell about it.
Only one day is left. Only one day. We are leaving the others. We are going away.
This opening song is the only cover we did for this record.
Today we all steer, animals we are. Possession is lost.
We found this song very inspiring and very Laibachian.
Our souls are from the wild, and wings to reach the sky. Let the sun fall into the ocean. Let the earth erupt in flame. It is enough to have the
It is talking about fate, money, universe, dreams, machines, and about the final day, all of them favorite Laibachian
The
subjects.
final day is here, the very last, and we leave at dawn.
There is some Blade Runner there, some Space Odyssey and some Solaris as well. Even some Star Wars and Star Trek. All big emotions of eternity and of time itself.
The problem is destroyed. We raise our hands and bodies to the peak, into the universe, towards the stars we go.
Wir alle sind besessen. Wir alle sind verflucht. Wir alle sind gekreuzigt. Und alle sind kaputt. Von Reiztechnologie. Von Zeitökonomie. Von Qualität des Lebens. Und Kriegsphilosophie. 1, 2, 3, 4.
This song was inspired by German-American friendship. We believe that good relation between Germany and America is extremely important in these difficult and sensitive times. Their friendship has been established during and after the Second World War, when America generously helped Germany to look at itself, to introspect and reinvent itself into one of the most prosperous powerful and just nation state of the present time. Maybe Germany, which is finally becoming a central state of United Europe, will now soon have a chance to return equal help to America in her never-ending and exhausting fight against the world of evil. So this is a song about the problems and solutions of this great friendship. But it is also a song about Laibach, about the joy and happiness which we feel as messengers of freedom and missionaries of truth. We believe we can bring these two and other great nations together if they will only listen carefully what we have to tell them. If it works, we can all dance happily till the end of time. If it does not work, this dance will end up much sooner.
Das Leben ist eine kurze Nacht.
Du bist unser is a deeply religious song, whose text was written by another good friend of us, our collaborator and citizen of NSK, philosopher Peter Mlakar.
Die Strahlen ultrarot, Maschinengewehr aus jeder Galaxie heilen wir allgemeine Agonie.
As we understand it, it is a poetic but profound meditation on absolute and the prayer to eternity. Since it is basically dedicated to the great being of overwhelming God, we decided to do it in a cheerful and brightful mode, resembling a Sunday afternoon walk in the city park.
Beide Seiten, im Osten und du im Westen. Achtung, beide Seiten, im Norden und du im Süden.
We love this German warning word Achtung very much, and we wanted to make something for it only.
Und Frieden ist für Ruhe schlecht. Die Sprache ist ohne Inhalt.
Finally, we decided to use it within this song, which is explicitly talking about the attraction of the opposite, about the appearance of the subject and its hidden truth, about the difference between the form and its content, about the paradox of reality.
Glück auf, beide Seiten.
We found this problem very fatal and also very amusing, because in a simple way it explains the very formula of a good philosophy and the quality of life.
Kein Abgrund. Die Nähe ist jetzt die Ferne und nicht die knives in their pockets and bombs in their hands. They'll burn down your cities and your Disneylands.
Everybody has to pay his debts sooner or later, and in consumerist society, everybody lives on debts. Payments are usually collected by the foreigners, newcomers, underdogs, by those who have nothing to lose, because in their miserable life they can only get nothing.
And scream in your face.
People are avoiding and disliking them as they remind them of their own nothingness. Arabs, Negroes, Jews, Turks, Mexicans, Gypsies, Slavs.
And you're better off dead.
They are barbarians, not sophisticated enough to know the difference between enjoyment and pleasure. We must admit that Laibach belongs to them as well. In fact, we have always proudly considered ourselves true barbarians, coming to the rich West from our secret Eastern hideouts, taking and stealing from wherever and whomever possible, and then return to rest and enjoy the prey back at home. We seriously hope and firmly believe that united Europe will not entirely stop this process of such fertile, exotic, cultural exchange.
And make you all slaves. I will take your thoughts and I'll make them mine.
This is a song about good and evil and about their never-ending love and hate relation and their battle. Except this time, evil is good and good is evil. Laibach is of course on both sides, as always.
Love me. Love me not. Love me. Love me not. Love me.
Das Spiel ist aus.
This is another warning song. Therefore, we decided to use German language again.
Die Zeit ist fast vorbei.
The warning is saying that the game is over, in all terms and by all means. There was enough of going into one direction only, and it is now time to change it and go the opposite way.
Ist unser Tod.
Basically, this is a call to revolution, social, political, religious revolution. And we did it because we believe in the rules of Tiamat, the dialectic materialism. We believe that every action has its reaction and everything has to search for its own truth and meaning in its opposition, in its own reflection, before it's too late.
Das Spiel ist aus.
But we might be wrong, of course. One never really knows.
Express your grief, your faith, believe.
This is a poem about how fatal it could be to express one's own beliefs, opinions and actions, no matter what the costs may be. The higher the costs are, the stronger expression there is, and closer one gets to the Prince of Darkness. The Great Divide is about the death and about the great differences of reality.
The rising of the century did not bring catharsis. The rising of the century did not bring salvation.
These differences of understanding the rights and wrongs can be cruel and fatal, more so in sensitive times and in extreme warlike situations, when our roles can easily be divided to victims and their executioners.
Are cutting their throats, slicing their guts.
We are all prisoners and raw food for the big flesh-eating machine, the mega machine of life and death. This master of reality does not really care for subtleties and differences. In a good manner of democratic consumerism, it swallows up everything and everybody with huge and never-ending appetite.
We have preached the good and evil, and we didn't speak much. Podsesni gledo, proti nam gledo, proti vam gledo.
As a term, anti-Semitism goes back to the 1870s, but in fact it is an old concept, the expression of the dislike of the unlike. Historically, anti-Semitism goes further back to the century before the beginning of the Christian era in Alexandria and later on in classical Rome, and from there with the spread of Christianity all over the world. Today, anti-Semitism is still one of the major international topics. It is the most potent instrument of policy and has established itself as an instrument of reaction. As an excuse, it is potentially a tremendous force for evil. Nevertheless, how abstract his use and his definition today may be.
Sind Sie bereit? Unter der Sonne Sie bereit? Unter dem Mond. Das Zeitgericht. Es wird vergehen. Der Preis ist hoch. Und die Musik ist tot.
In this short song with long ambient, we simply meditate about one thing only, about the big end. Not the cinema's kind of end, not just any kind of end with a new start straight after, but about the end of time, the end of the very end itself.
Sind Sie bereit? Unter der Sonne. Sind Sie bereit? Unter dem Mond. Das Zeitgericht. Es wird vergehen. Die Farbe ist dunkel. Im Licht des Todes.
It is of course very difficult to grasp this dimension, and paradoxically we found out that instead of apocalyptic song about the end of everything, we actually did a nice poem about the end of the actual song only. Probably because end of all ends is too difficult, too abstract to comprehend. Or maybe it does even not exist at all.
Das Ende vom Ende. Wir alle sind besessen. Wir alle sind verflucht. Wir alle sind gekreuzigt. Und alle sind kaputt. Von Reiztechnologie. Von Zeitökonomie. Von Qualität des Lebens. Und Kriegsphilosophie. 1, 2, 3, 4. Brüchen, komm tanz mit mir. 1, 2, 3, 4. Beide Hände reich ich dir. 1, 2, 3, 4. Meine Freunde, tanz mit mir. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rundherum, das ist nicht schwer. Wir tanzen Adolf Hinkel, Benzino Napoloni. Wir tanzen Schieselblüher und tanzen mit Maitreya. Mit Totalitarismus und mit Demokratie. Wir tanzen mit Faschismus und unter Anarchie. 1, intent to save your souls. Suspense is our device. We are time. We are time. We are time. We are time. From Moses to Muhammad, from capital to NATO, Acropolis to Opus Dei, from Marx and back to Plato, from the Golden Age to the Age of Steel, from the beginning to the end, from zero to infinity, the first to the seventh continent, from no solution to revolution, the Red Star to Star Wars, the turning point to the point of no return, new order to a brave new world, mechanical to digital, from poltergeist to zeitgeist, from God's will to evil, and from superstars to the Antichrist. We are time. We are time. We are time. We are time. We are the thieves of the lost horizons. We are the mirror of the deadly curse. We shall give you nothing, and in return we'll take even less. But when our beat stops and the lights go out, and when we leave this place, you will be left here all alone, with a static scream locked on your face. We are time.